You not only are you capable of hitting 10 threes, like Duncan said, but you're also very capable of keeping him from hitting 10 threes. I think you're one of the best guys in the league at guarding him. I mean that, and I don't know if it's because there's a personal relationship. Maybe you know his game a little bit better. You know his tendencies, but I think you block his shot more than anybody else in the league. Do you have any tricks that you're willing to share?
No, I don't have
Don't
any tricks at
expose me.
all.
Don't expose me.
I was gonna say I don't have any tricks at all because for all those youngsters watching the pod, they might be competing against them someday. I don't want to give up
That's
my
fine.
competitive advantage that makes me valuable or his
Fair
competitive
enough.
advantage as a
I
friend.
appreciate
But
that.
no, I think look for me, like kind of like Duncan said, it's I'm trying to find a way to impact winning, and it happens to be seen on Duncan more than others because we are friends and because we have an AAU coach who loves to post stuff about him and I playing against each other, and you obviously know we have a relationship and all that. So I would say the funny part about it is I do that to a lot of guys. I think a lot of guys. I learned guarding Damon CJ my first few years in practice, like you got to find ways to get over a screen or you got to find ways to anticipate where your the guy you're guarding, KYP, we call it, know your personnel. You got to find where they like to shoot. And so for me, it's just kind of about that anticipation. And fortunately and unfortunately, depending who you're talking to on this pod, me or Duncan, it's very difficult for me to block Duncan's shot if he's coming to his left shoulder because he's got such a high release and he's 6'8" and I'm not. But if I can try to force him to come off the other way to the right shoulder, just like any right-handed shooter, like that, it's easier for me to get. And I don't always get a finger on it. I just try to make him feel uncomfortable when he's shooting because he's one of those guys who, if he's got daylight and he has the look at the shot, he jumps high, he's got a high release. There's not a whole lot you can do about it. He's just going to make it or miss it. And so I just try to find ways to whomever I'm guarding, whether James Harden's a lefty. Well, he loves to take that step back right. Well, guess what? Have you seen him take many step backs left? Not really. When he goes left, it's all the way to the basket. And so for us, I know I got two trees back there in Giannis and Brooke. I'm not going to be the guy that's forcing him right. I'm going to try to force him left, which seems counterintuitive because he's a lefty, but he loves that step back right. So just knowing your personnel has always been part of my MO as a defender.
You do have great technique, but it's very clearly the extra motivation that inspires you to not let me get in the open looks when you're guarding me, and I won't hear anything else. You got into it a little bit right there, talking about kind of like different personnel. But I kind of, if you will, I'd love to hear you unpack defense a little more because you've done it to me before, and you have a really interesting way of simplifying defense. And it's actually something like your words had helped me in terms of like, sometimes you get out there and you're guarding an NBA player and you just feel like hopeless in a way because they're so talented. Like guys at this level are so talented and they have such great ability. But for you helped me kind of boil it down to like, okay, simplify it down to like, this guy likes to do this, try to just take away this. And I think, and then watching you play and use that effectively, like you're such a solid defender. Like you're always utilizing angles, you're utilizing your strength, you're playing the offense into kind of like your world. If you can just talk a little bit more about that and how you kind of go into like prepping for defensive assignments.
Yeah, I would say, first and foremost, you're 100% right. Like the NBA talent, I think sometimes is underrated. I mean, I know we're the best in the world and I know fans know that, but like, I think sometimes guys look at like who's pegged as a shooter. Well, against anybody aside from the NBA talent, you're much more than a shooter. And like when you get coming off pin downs and you can curl, like you can finish in the lane, you can finish over people, you can hit a mid range.
I'll put something on somebody. I'm not you. I'm not you with 44-inch vertical, but every now and then I got the rim grazer package for sure.
100%. I have a notification alert for when Duncan Robinson dunks, and it goes off at least 5 times a month. But
five times a year.
Yeah, probably more than 5 times a year category. We'll take it though.
For sure.
I would say for me, like it's about knowing that guys are so talented, they have second, third, and fourth moves. But at the end of the day, I want to play to my strengths and to their weaknesses. So knowing both of those things, you mentioned strength. I know strength, especially at my size, is something that, no pun intended, is a strength of mine, right? So how do I make sure that when it comes to angles or when it comes to defending somebody, I find a way to have contact with them? So whether I'm defending Kyrie Irving or, Devin Booker in the NBA Finals, whatever it is, I want to make sure that they feel me and I'm having an impact on their lack of comfort driving the basketball, shooting the basketball, whatever it is, right? And then knowing what their strengths are, it's the basketball IQ side of the game for me. So knowing that Devin Booker or Chris Paul always try to find a way to get to an elbow and try to find a way to hit a mid-range jump shot, like force them into the trees. Know that the strengths of our team defense versus what their strengths are as a player. And so when it comes down to defending for me, I try to simplify it, to your point, to like 1 to 2 things. And it's what their strong hand is or what way they like to go best. I try to take that away. And then I try to know where they like to shoot from. So if it's you, I know they run you off 17 different screens in Miami before you're going to take a jump shot, but you're going to try to find a way to be behind the 3-point line. So, and somehow you have a way of getting extended from a screen that isn't a travel, that is 17 feet away from where the screen just happened. And so I know I'm going to have to take a few more steps before I gather and jump. If it's a Devin Booker, I know he loves to pump fake. So if I can stay connected with him when he's driving left, he's going to try to pump fake. And if I don't go for it, if I'm content with being solid and not trying to get a block, but trying to just make a shot difficult for him, if he makes a contested mid-range too, I tip my hat to him, because at the end of the day, the way the NBA is going offensively, if it's not a 3 and it's not a layup, it's tough to survive on long-range 2-point jump shots. Now, I will say in the playoffs, a lot more mid-range shots are taken, but it's tough to win games off that on a consistent basis. So if I know that and I can simplify, hey, force him left, force him right, and know where he wants to shoot from, then I can do my job to the level that I need to do it. And, hopefully Coach Bud doesn't rip me out of the game for letting a guy go by me.